I'm here outside because my kids are playing extremely loudly in my house, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear this well. I do have pop filters and like a good microphone, but I don't have like an actual boom or something like that, so I'm hoping that you guys will hear me well. All right, so here I am on the outline. And I talked about how are you going to fill out your outline. So this is what I would do if I were you. You don't need to fill all the rest of this out. I would just write down what your main points were. So we know that the first main point that we want to talk about is that plastic bag bans cause more harm than good. Remember, we're talking about the Adler article, okay? So plastic bag bans. And I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying that that was one of the points made in the article. Okay, so the second main point that I'm going to use is reusable bags are not as eco-friendly as they're touted to be. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, and then the third main point is that what we put in our bags is more important than what we use to carry those items, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write that. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to decide on what I want to do for my thesis. For your thesis, you are going to want to look at the arguments of the author, here it's Adler, and figure out if you agree, disagree, or if you're of two minds, both. Okay, so you get to choose for your own essay. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to say, again, I agree, I disagree, or I'm of two minds. And I'm not going to write that. I'm just going to highlight it here so that you guys kind of get an idea. I don't want to decide for you guys, okay? So we already kind of started what you want to do for the first thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to talk about your topic sentence, which should be a summary of the first main point. And so it would be something like this. Adler claims that plastic bags cause more harm than good. And in general, I agree, disagree, or both. Right? This would be your topic sentence. Then you're going to want to go to the article and find a supporting detail from the article that backs that up. And you're going to say something like, in the article, Adler says, and I'm going to go ahead and look it up. So I am going to scan through the article, which hopefully if you highlighted and you annotated well, I did not annotate it that well here, you would be able to find some things fairly easily. So after looking through the article, I sort of decided on the idea that although that I could write something about that bag bans cut this litter off at the source, and also talk about that studies of bags' environmental impacts over their life cycle have reached widely varying conclusions. So just for the purpose of my outline, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to copy this. I'm going to stick it inside my outline as one of the things that he says. I'm going to make sure that I put it in quotation marks so that I remember that this is a quote, and I will go back at another time after we learn how to use quotations properly and fix that. So I would put that in there. I'm going to say none. The other thing that I would probably write is something like, you know, that Adler says that although plastic bag bans cut off plastic at the source, and I need to go back and make sure that I got that correct and where I would need to cut litter off at the source. So I would maybe put in quotation marks at the source because that was not my language. That was theirs, right? That's why I cut off plastic at the source. So let's put it quotes. And I would say something like, he continues by highlighting that studies of environmental impacts of bags over their life cycle, right? You know, the widely varying conclusions. And then I would make sure to like say that I explain this, right? I would say throughout the article, he uses the sources to educate readers that plastic bags are bad, but so are other types of bags, right? And so then I could talk about my opinion on this, and I would say, this would be my opinion, I might say something like, although I agree with Adler that plastic bag bans don't solve everything, his own research, or his own citations, right, of research, suggests that they do help, right? And I would kind of talk about like how earlier in the article here, he talks about how, it was an 89% reduction of the number of plastic bags. And to me, that's worth the plastic bag bans, even if there are still other problems, okay? So that might be where I would go with that particular thing, right? So I'm going to go back and topic sentences, and I'm going to look at my next body paragraph. Reusable bags are not as eco-friendly as they are touted to be. So I would come up here and I would copy this topic sentence that I put, and my topic sentence would look something like, Adler continues his argument emphasizing that reusable bags are not as eco-friendly as they are touted to be. After consideration, I, agree, disagree, etc. So I'm going to go back to my outline. Oops, that's not my outline here. And I'm going to put that in as my topic sentence. So there it is. Now I'm going to go back to the article, and I'm going to see, we're going to look for a supporting detail in the article. And I think if I remember where that was, it says, is plastic really worse than paper? Okay, so we're not going to be talking about that because we're talking about more than that. We're talking about the reusable bags, right? Is that, and I would just summarize this and write that in the article, Adler talks about, that Adler words, right? The environmental impact of reusable bags, like cotton totes, may be even worse than the impact of plastic bags. Right? And so I would have that, but then I would put what my opinion was. And I put a second supporting detail from the article in case you need it. Here, this might be enough. It just kind of depends, right? And so then my personal opinion would be, so I might say, although, this makes sense. However, plastic bags are still very damaging. There has to be another solution. That would be my opinion, right? And you guys can write whatever you want. Maybe you agree with him, okay? So that's what I would write for that, and I would put down inside my outline. And the second supporting detail, I don't think I would put that. I might, as I write, go back and see if there's more. So what I did is I did a basic summary, right? Not a paraphrase, not a quote, but kind of a basic summary. And I'm going to go ahead and so my third topic sentence was, what we put in our bags is more important, what he says. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this, right? And I'm going to put that into my outline. And then I would find a supporting detail. In this case, I would use an exact quotation. So I'm going to go up here to the plastic bag article, and he actually, he says it, I believe. It's what we put in the bag that really matters. So he quotes, and Tyler, who's Tyler? So I'm going to make sure that I know who this Tyler person is first. Or even better, citing another source, I could just say, rather than trying to figure out who that person is at this moment, I'm going to just go ahead and say, Adler talks about, I changed my mind about a quote, talks about how eating less meat, and watching what we purchase makes a lot more difference environmentally. And then I would give my opinion about it, right? This is my personal opinion. I would say, although Adler might be correct, again, this is not a
some game, right? And in my opinion, I would say that you need to do
do both, right? We've got to get rid of the plastic bags in addition to stop consuming so much meat, by watching what we buy, worrying about, how we're traveling to places, less fossil fuels, all of those things that I would write down. And even better, if you want to put some personal opinions or personal experiences or anecdotes, that also will help. And then if you come back here, I wrote your conclusion would be just to restate. You don't even need to put that necessarily on your outline. I just kind of want to see where you're planning on going. This is a very basic outline. It does not have to be anything really fancy. Then here I gave you some ideas about how you would want to put together maybe your body paragraph templates. Just a very basic idea. You do not have to fill those out, but I want you to sort of understand how you would want to structure this. As we go through and we revise and we redo, that's where we're going to start making things, sound a little bit better, words flow, right? One idea to the next. But here we're just kind of getting down the main ideas that we want to cover. I'm hoping that this helps. All right, maybe that's a little better, but let me know. If you have any more questions, I will be here to answer your questions. I'm happy to meet with you on Zoom or however else you wish to meet. And with that, I will see you online until